Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. Today I chose to play as Bretonnia in this matchup, and I drew a Beastmen opponent. Now I went with 5 Spearmen at Arms, 4 Polearm at Arms, 4 Peasant Bowmen, 2 Pegasus Knights, 2 Flying Potions, 1 Damsel, and King Lewin Liancourt, the ultimate Frenchie. And I deployed with a front line of mixed infantry. Behind them, my archers along with a damsel. And on the flanks, I put an extra polearm in case the beastmen tried any woodsy trickseration, as they're very good at. And I deployed, forward deployed my Pegasus Knights so I could try to get vision on his army as soon as possible. My opponent brought a very large Beastmen army to go up against my large army, apparently. He's got a couple of Ungor spearmen herds on the flanks. In between there, he's got 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry about this, there's a lot of them. Like 8 Gore herd, half with shields, half without, just about. Looks like he's got another Ungor spearmen herd back here. He's got 2 Gorbals, a giant, and he also has a Bray Shaman of Beasts, a Beast Lord. There's the other Gorbal back here. I thought he had some Bestigors, but maybe he didn't. Nope, looks like he just went with the Gore Herd and the Ungor Spearmen. So a very good standard Beastmen army against a large, interesting build I came up with here, which I think is relatively standard as well. So the engagement starts. He's of course going to start pushing. I held this area specifically because I wanted my archers to have, my bowmen to have some vision that was not obscured by the forest. So I moved my Pegasus Knights forward just to see what he has in the forest over here, and to see if there was any opportunities for me to take out some of his units. He summons a Manticore, and I'd already started to push up with King Lewin. And I'm going to also send the Pegasus Knights after this thing and try to deal with it right away. A lone flyer on the field against 5 flying units is not going to hold up too well, and I want to take advantage of the advantage that I have here, so we're going to go ahead and try to take that out. Now I did leave one Pegasus Knight behind to try to take care of the Bray Shaman. Unfortunately, he keeps spears close by, and he is keeping an eye on it, so we're not going to get a hold of him quite yet, but we do get a little bit of damage and harassment in there, and he's going to pull the spearmen back, and I'm going to be a little late to notice that, so I'm going to take some unnecessary damage. But the Manticore gets broken, and then I send these guys over in case I need to support, and because my primary goal with having such a large flying contingent is to be able to hit his infantry in the back. So we're going to see if I get a chance to pull that off. But I do believe I end up sending 1 Paladin to finish off the Feral Manticore here, because I do not want to have a chance to rally and be a factor in this battle. But as you can see, my flying elements are pushing up the line, and there goes the Paladin. Now his Gorbal gets here way ahead of schedule and starts putting some damage down. My archers start to fire into his Gore herds that are approaching, softening them up a bit. And then I quickly have 1 or 2 of them here shift focus to the Gorbal, and I also push up my extra men-at-arms polearm, because I notice he's not making any effort to go around the flanks, so I didn't see any reason to keep that polearm in the back. So his lines are going to engage, and I am going to cast the Curse of the Midnight Wind and charge into his rear with Pegasus Knights and other flying units. So you can see the shock of all that is quite a thing to bear for his infantry. Now my goal here is to be cycle charging with Pegasus Knights, but I have a lot of things going on. He's kind of coming in waves. Like for example, now he brings in the giant, which is smart, because if I'm not paying attention, he's going to do a ton of damage. Unfortunately though, I am paying attention, and I put my archers on him right away, so the bowmen are going to put a hurting on them. I push out the extra infantry to make sure I hold the flanks, and over here, I have these guys kind of hanging back, but they are going to move in. He's got several amount of units fleeing. I've got my Pegasus Knights back up in the air because I'm waiting for him to commit again. You don't want to fight anything head-on with a Pegasus Knight, virtually anything. It doesn't trade well. What they rely on is the fact that they can get a charge that can't be countered, because ground units obviously cannot charge a flying unit. And they also rely on hitting people from the flanks and the rear, which I obviously want to play to their strengths. So now the rest of his infantry is getting engaged. I use the Paladin, much like I'm using the Pegasus Knights, for rear charges, just to come in. But these guys are professionals at just getting into the back of infantry like this, and they just do incredible amounts of damage. I really enjoy playing them. They're a glass cannon for sure, and if you don't use them right, trust me, you will not get any value out of them. His Gorbel is not enjoying the hail of arrows and the Paladin beating on him. I haven't given much attention to his Beast Lord thus far. It's really not a very powerful unit. The Gorbels are far more useful than the Beast Lord, at least in my experience. And down goes one of his Gorbels. That is going to shift things in my favor. And I just continue to fire into wherever there's weakness. I continue to charge in. Now I'm going to try to work on his Lord, because the way things are looking, I believe if I break his Lord, I can break his army. And obviously that's an attractive thing. He does get his other Gorbel into my archers over here, and hopefully before too long, there we go, I decide he's the next target for the bowman. Don't want that to go on. I'm also going to send in the king, which is going to be more than enough to put a hurting on that Gorbel, which obviously is the most dangerous and best unit that the Beastmen have. So you do not want to let these guys hang around to the end game. They will make you pay for it dearly. So as you can see, I'm continuing to charge in, do as much damage as possible, and I'm really trying to hold the center, because you can see it kind of got paper thin there for a while. I had to bring some guys that reformed. I'm doing that because I want my damsel to be able to continue to buff and debuff, and I want my bowman to be able to continue to pick off targets of interest. And as the last of his guys there go down, it's going to be GG. Now, my opponent played a very good game, and I do want to say he picked a pretty darn good army. Bringing a giant is not a bad idea at all. Obviously 2 Gorbels, the Bray Shaman of Beasts is very good. I don't know about chevroning these guys so much, but considering he's probably expecting me to bring Grail Knights or something to that effect, they could be quite useful to him. So I feel like this was a good army. But what he ran into is the case of having a good army, but going against a better one, or one that's very well suited to fighting him. And as a player, you have to be careful about that, because sometimes you'll play a really good army, you'll get beat pretty handily, as he did here, and you'll make the mistake of saying, oh, this army is crap, or this faction is crap, and then you'll go back to the drawing board, when that necessarily shouldn't happen. So never evaluate your army based on one battle's performance. Never do that. You have to give it time to work out, and for you to get comfortable with it as well. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The king put up 48 kills and didn't lose a whole lot of health. Obviously he does regen. Damsel did what she does. The paladins did well, just creating fear, coming in from the back, taking out the Minotaur. Just everything was good there. The spearmen at arms were quite good. I mean, these guys cost 300. But you get a shield, a spear, and anti-large, so I like them quite a bit. The pole arms did well. My bowmen did well. Even one of them ranked up. And the Pegasus Knights were very effective, as you saw, in bringing panic and pain to his infantry lines. This is a really solid Bretonnia build, in my opinion. You field a lot of units. You have a lot of men on the field. Your infantry is more flexible than normal because you have extra. So you saw how I got to push a couple of them out to the flanks. But also they could have been held back, as I initially planned, for any sort of flanking maneuver the opponent pulled. So I like having extra infantry on the field. 4 peasant bowmen are enough to put on a good hurt, and the Pegasus Knights are great at working with your original flying contingent of paladins and the king at dominating the skies, and then once you have it, just making them pay for it over and over and over again. And these guys not being able to be charged actually works pretty well against cavalry as well. But again, if you can't micro them, or you're going to leave them in combat for too long, or if you attack things head on, these things will melt away. The Pegasus are very flimsy. They're a glass cannon by all measures. So anyways, again, good game to my opponent. If you enjoyed the battle or you learned something, please like, please subscribe. It's just clicking on a button, and it helps me out a lot. It's the best way to support the channel. Until the next time, again, this is the Magnus. Thanks, and take care.